So today we will have a look at a very interesting sampler from nysthi that has 6 playheads we can use and manipulate separately from one another. So let's load up a sample in the right click menu, open wave file. I will load this sample. Now we can already see that it's playing. Now all of the samples I will use today are from Empty Vessel, who kindly prepared a sample pack for me to use and share. So there will be a link in the description to this sample pack. You can download it for free and use it in your own work. And there will be also links to more information about the work of Empty Vessel if you are interested in creative and unique sample packs. So let's have a listen to this. We have here the global outputs. 1 and 2. By the way, it's going through plateau here, but the wet for now is all the way down, so it's not affecting anything. So now we can hear all of the playheads. We can of course change their levels here. So let's take everything but the first one down. So now we hear only the first playhead, this one here. We can change the length of the playback, the start and end points. So let's do something like this. We can also do this from the module itself, from the viewer here. So now the first playhead, you can see, will play only this slice, but all the rest will keep playing the entire loop. Okay, now if you bring in the second playhead, you can hear that they will play different parts. Let's change its length also a bit. Maybe something like this. Maybe even a bit different. We can do the same also with the third. Let's make this a bit somewhere here maybe. Something like this. We can also pan the second and third, the left and right. So here we have separate panning options or control. Oh yes, oh yes. Already we got something interesting. Okay, let's bring in the next playhead. And now we can make it play an octave lower. Here we have the octave control. And you can see it also moves slower. Let's add even another one, 2 octaves down. 1, 2. Maybe change the levels a bit. We can also make it play in reverse. So here we have the speed control. If it's on 1, it will play the original playback speed, of course, according to the octaves. But if I change this to -1, it will play it in reverse, and you can see this moves in reverse. We can also set the last playhead to play a shorter loop, maybe something like this, an octave up. Now maybe it's a good time to add some reverb. Oh yes, oh yes. Okay, so we have 6 playheads playing back the sample in different ways, and this is the core of what this module is all about. But as you can see, there are many more features available, so let's have a look at another example. Okay, so here I have a different sample loaded, and I have 2 playheads, the second and the third playing an octave up and in reverse, as you can see, and they're playing just a different segment of the sample. So let's have a listen to everything together. This is how it sounds like. Again, the sample is from Empty Vessel. And now what we can do, we can process the other playheads separately through their individual outputs that we have here, which will take them, by the way, out of the global mix. So for example, we can have playhead 4, this one here, play a smaller or shorter sample, something like this, and let's send it through distortion. I will use the one from Surge, this one here, playhead 4. Now it's not going through the global outputs anymore. And let's send this to the mixer that I have here. And now open the filters, the high cut, add some gain and drive and feedback. Oh, yeah. So now we have another crunchy layer to the sound, again only with playhead 4, which is playing this small segment. Okay, let's take the next one 2 octaves up, 1 and 2. You can see it here. Now we can use it and send this through Supercell, for example, in granular mode. Supercell is a Cloud's clone. Use it in granular mode. So first of all, we will take the mix all the way up, panning also, so it's nice and panned in the stereo field, some feedback, lots of space, which is reverb, and now we can start raising the density to the right in this case, so it will generate grains randomly. So we can, with the use of the individual outputs, we can add more layers with the sample, the same sample, but playing in different ways. So here, for example, again, it's playing 2 octaves up, and quicker also, as you can see. The one that goes to the distortion is playing just a smaller segment. Now it may be a bit too muddy, but we can use, for example, the built-in VCAs. So each playhead has a built-in VCA and attenuator that we can use. So let's take, I have here 5 LFOs differently set up. Let's take the 5 playheads out of the mix for now. The first one we will leave, but now we can use the LFOs to modulate or control or automate. Not this one here. The VCAs, and this will bring the voices in and out, just like this. So there's also some variation in the levels. Okay, so here I have another sample, and I already have it set that it plays back the sample in all sorts of ways, as you can see here. I have also 2 playheads going to plateau through some reverb. Let's have a listen to this. This is the result for now. Now, another interesting feature of Sussudio is that we can trigger to start and stop each of the playheads through the activate buttons here. So if I deactivate all of them but one, only this one will play, of course. And now we can use, for example, the end of cycle output to trigger, to activate the next playhead. So whenever this playhead reaches the end of its sample, the end of cycle, it will output a trigger that will activate the next playhead. Let's have a listen to this. Let's have a look. Just like this. And now let's use the end of cycle of this sample to trigger the next one. Let's wait for it. Just like this. So each one of them now is dependent on the other. Now another way we can create even more variation is by turning cycled off this mode here. So the playhead will play the sample once, it will be a one-shot sample and will stop. So let's turn off cycled for the next one and activate it. Now it will play it once and it will reach the end and will stop or pause. Just like this. So now only when hitting play, it will start playing the sample, and again only one time, one shot. So let's use the end of cycle for this. For example, so when the third reaches the end of cycle, it should trigger the play function for the fourth. This one here, and it will play again only once. Okay, now we can also use external triggers to introduce even more variation. So here I have an LFO, and it's going through chances, which is a Bernoulli gate. So it will randomly output the LFO from one of the outputs, from A or from B, again randomly. We can use this to trigger, for example, the pause function. So I will use output A with the fifth playhead here, and let's activate it. So now it's paused, and the next trigger it will play again. Let's wait for it. Just like this. So this creates even more variation. Now there's another mode, the gated mode. That means that only when an incoming gate is high, and this doesn't have to be a gate actually, any signal that goes above or stays above 1 volt, as long as it stays above 1 volt, the playhead will keep on playing. So let's activate the gated mode on the last playhead and also activate it. You see, for now it's not playing. I will use the second output from chances to the play input. And now, just like this, as long as the gate is high or the signal is high or stays above 1 volt, this playhead will start and continue playing. Now something to notice here, I have chances set to latch mode, which means that as long as the signal comes out of the same output, for example now it comes out of A, as long as it comes out of A, the gate or the signal will stay open, will stay high, which gives me, or gives us in this case, longer signals. Okay, another interesting thing we can do is modulate the start and end point of the playhead. So here, for example, I have 2 ADDR sequencers ready. And there is something to keep in mind here. You have to make sure that the end point, we will do this with the last playhead here, the end point is not set before the start point, or you will get basically nothing. So here, for example, the start point is 0.4. Here the end point is 0.6. If I take the end point and I bring it that it's lower than the start point, just like this, you see we get basically nothing, we will get no sound. So you have to make sure when you modulate this that the end point is always a bit after the start point. So let's use really the sequencers for this. And now this will also change or be sequenced. So here we have another sample playing in all sorts of ways, as you can see here. Let's unmute this. This is the sample. Now if you notice, the last playhead, this one here, is playing a really short loop. It's also going through some reverb. Now if I change the speed of this short loop, it will also change the pitch. We can see this also. I have here hot tuner, which is a tuner. So we can also see now it's on C4. I can have it on D sharp 4 or E flat. So I can really use it as a voice by itself. And here I have, as an example, the ADDR sequencer. I already went step by step and tuned this voice with a hot tuner. So we can use this for sequencing this playhead. So let's send this to the CV input for the speed. And now we have to open the VCA all the way up in this case. And we have a sequence. Now we can also use offset to tune the different playheads to different notes. So here I have two ready. Again, if we look at hot tuners, let's do this for the third and the fourth, which are penned also left and right. So let's do this for the third. Now it's on C4. If I send offset to it, I have G4. And the next one will be tuned to E flat. So you can control also the pitch by controlling the speed for each of the playheads, which is also quite useful. So another nice feature of this module is the ability to switch between samples. Now you have to make sure that the samples you want to use are together in the same folder. And actually if you load a sample that sits in the same folder with other samples, it will load all of the folder. So you might have to switch between the samples in order to get to the sample you want to use. But anyway, let's listen to this for a second. This is the first sample I have loaded. Now we can switch between them, for example with the next button here, or the previous. Of course they have also trigger inputs. Now we can also use pitch information for this, or something like a MIDI keyboard for example. To demonstrate this I have here 12 key from Impromptu. Again, this will work the same with any MIDI keyboard or even sequencers. So let's send the CV output to the MIDI CV input. And now C will be the first sample, C sharp will be the second one, D will be the next one. And if I add more samples, it will be like this for each of the keys. So you can really use your MIDI keyboard or a sequencer to sequence the different samples. Let's disconnect this for now. Now, one of the most interesting features of this module is the ability to save snapshots of the different settings and switch between them. Now, this will save the status of the playback, so active, gated, and cycled. It will save the start and ending points and also the volume settings. But it will not have effect on the speed settings, on the panning, on which sample is selected. Maybe it will be updated in the future, but let's really start changing a few of the settings. So let's turn off the last couple of playheads. Let's do something like this here. Maybe we'll use a different sample for this. And have something like this. Now we can save it. We can also reset, so they will start at the same time. We can also update it, so if I save it and I want to make some changes, I can update it and it will save it on top of it. And we can delete it, of course. So now let's change a few more things. Let's see, let's make something here a bit more. Something like this. And maybe have also the other ones. Something like this, also the level. This we can again save. And now we can switch between them. You can see it will change. I can do this with the arrows. I can go directly to the first keyframe or the scene or the snapshot. I can randomly switch between them. Of course, all of this has also trigger inputs. And I can also manually select between them. And this can be done also with CV. So this is also a really nice feature. I can use, for example, the end of cycle to randomly switch between the snapshots. Okay, now a few more details. We have global level control for the global outputs that we can use. We have also global pitch control. And again with the VCA and an attenuator. We have also anti-click to prevent those clicks. Let's see if I can demonstrate this. Let's have just one playhead. And I guess you can hear it clicking. So now I can introduce anti-click. And the click is away. There are a few options for this in the right-click menu: fade in, fade out, X-fade, exponential, linear, so you can choose exactly what you want. Let's bring back the other ones. Now we can also zoom in the wave file so we can see better what's going on and where we are with the different playheads. And that was it. Again, there will be a link in the description to the sample pack from Empty Vessel. Feel free to download it and use it in your own compositions. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you enjoy what I do, consider becoming a Patreon. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe and hit the bell, and have a good one.